It was interesting, a 67-minute wide-ranging press conference from Steve Bisciotti reminds us why we do like it when he gets to the podium, even though it is so rare. There was no sugarcoating, and indeed he was happy to share that blame across the board with everybody. It was not a John Harbaugh failure, he wanted to make clear, but also he solicited opinions from players, coaches, other front office members, but made clear the decision to fire John Harbaugh and fire the way he did was Steve Bisciotti's and Steve Bisciotti's alone. So that's what he did 7 days ago. The possibility for the head coaching change really started to creep in Steve Bisciotti's mind with about a month ago in the season. The trend was continuing in the wrong direction over the last 3 years, underachievement rather than overachievement. The decision to let John go, knowing how time was of the essence as you try to find a new coach, well, that had Steve Bisciotti share his decision with John over the phone last Tuesday. Clearly, a painful move really for the entire organization, especially for Eric DeCosta, who shared the stage with Steve today as Harbaugh, that's Eric's best friend. But if not now, when? Asked Steve Bisciotti as he turns the page on what had been a fantastic 18-year era, but one with too few championships.
I got to the point that I didn't believe that I would feel regret after I made that decision. And that's what instinct is. When you finally get to the point that you're pretty damn sure that you are not going to regret the decision a day or a week later, then that's the time to make the decision.
We want leaders. We want the best leader we can find. We want somebody who's going to hold the players accountable. We want somebody who's an expert in X's and O's. We want somebody who the players can relate to, but also somebody that's going to be firm and continue the culture that we've built.
Voice of the Ravens, Jerry Sandusky here with me. Jerry, I think one of the big takeaways I certainly had from today was that Steve Bisciotti made clear they want to win, and that's otherwise John Harbaugh would still be the head coach.
Well, and the other key factor was that Steve Bisciotti does solicit input from a lot of people, Eric DeCosta, the front office, even players, but he said at the very end, Lamar Jackson did not have an oversized large input on the final decision. He said he likes Lamar to have an opinion, but Steve Bisciotti said he has the power. I thought today was a perfect reminder that Steve Bisciotti owns this team. And even though he's not here very often, even though he doesn't spend a lot of time here, he is still the person who makes the decisions. Very reminiscent of 18 years ago when he fired Brian Billick after a disappointing season, a year after giving Brian Billick a coaching contract extension. Same exact scenario as John Harbaugh, and it came back to the exact same word, instinct. It wasn't just the wins and the losses. It wasn't any one thing. It wasn't any personnel decision. It was Steve Bisciotti's instinct, and he underscored that today. He said, look, if we go out, we change our coordinators, and we're still underperforming a year from now, I'm going to look back and regret that I didn't make the move now when my instinct said now was the time to do it. And if you go back in history, Steve Bisciotti built a multi-billion-dollar business on what he called thin resumes. That's when he hired John Harbaugh 18 years ago as a former special teams coordinator. The big difference that Bisciotti mentioned today, and I don't know that it caught everybody's attention, the big difference, 18 years ago, Steve Bisciotti was very involved from the very start of the job interview process. This time around, he said he wants Eric DeCosta, team president Sashi Brown, and Ozzie Newsome to do all the vetting, take the list of 18 to 20 candidates, whittle it down to 5. Then Bisciotti said he will get involved, and then Lamar will be invited in those final 5 interview processes to have a voice from the player's perspective.
And that should certainly want, then as far as Lamar Jackson and the contract extension, if that's not motivation to want to be a part of it and be a part of this franchise, I mean, I don't know what else would be. But I thought it was also interesting today, Jerry, the way that he decided in 2008, he wanted to make sure that he didn't have a retread coach. He wanted to get somebody new, and all the way out of the box with John Harbaugh. Now he wants you to look at Brian Flores, at Kevin Stefanski, maybe even a Jim Schwartz, somebody who's been a head coach but was not in a great situation, and it's why they're still not a head coach anymore. Let's go ahead and look at those guys because they were hired for a good reason. They were just put in bad situations. We don't want to discount them just because of a, quote, retread name.
And I asked Steve Bisciotti if that means the next coach who comes in faces immediate Super Bowl caliber pressure, and he said, I thought his answer was interesting. He said, look, I think we're going to be so confident in our decision that we're going to give the next coach several years. He said Brian Billick wanted his 2nd year, John Harbaugh wanted his 5th year. Bisciotti playfully said, I may give the next coach 6 years as long as I'm happy with everything else going on. But again, the key word today, you could take the 1 hour and 7-minute press conference and boil it down to one basic phrase, Steve Bisciotti's instinct. That was the driver behind this deal.
And that's it for now from Under Armour Forward Center. That's Jerry Sandusky. I'm Pete Gilbert. We'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, guys, thanks so much. And if you missed the press conference or would like to see it again, you can watch it in its entirety in the WBAL TV 11 News app.